Amazing. Welcome everyone to this year's Access Consciousness International Book Day event, Books That Lead to Greatness. And I am joined by my wonderful co-host Diva Diaz for this amazing event. Hi, Diva.
Hi, Julia.
And we must not ignore that Gary Douglas is also here on the screen. And welcome to our wonderful first speaker, Gary Douglas, founder of Access Consciousness. And he is our first guest of 8 guests today. And he's going to be talking about the How to Become Money Workbook that he wrote quite a while ago. And it's a book that has stood the test of time and is really an amazing gift to people with regards to not just their money and finances, but their whole life.
Yeah.
So,
good. So to start with, this book was written in 1986. Now, most of you are so young, you can't even imagine that, but it was written in 1986 and it's still valid today. You know, it's not something that has gone out of context. It's gone into context. How that works is when you speak to what will be the future, the book becomes in context as time advances, which is what I try to do with all our books, is to have our books advance with the age as the age advances.
Yeah, and they truly do, all of them. And, you know, one of the things that I love that I've heard you say several times, Gary, about the Access Consciousness books is that they're there to be studied.
Yes.
You know, they are, of course, you can read them quickly if you want to, but they really are something that can just accompany you and give you so many tools. Can you talk a little bit about that and the difference that that is?
Well, I mean, like I went to a lugar and I was there to try and get it finished, right? And I was doing all this stuff, and I was doing all this stuff, and I was doing all this stuff. And then I picked up a copy of the book to read on the plane on the way home. I read through the first 86 pages, and I went, oh, my God, I was ahead of my time. What I'm talking about is exactly what is occurring there. One of the things I talked about in the book is animals coming in to sacrifice themselves to be part of your lives. And animals are in communion with us. They deliver, and we have all kinds of animals that come to El Lugar to visit. We had an ocelot turned loose on the property next door, El Encanto, and the enchanted forest is what I call it, and it means El Encanto means the enchanted. And so it's like I talked about these things. We had the ocelot, and he found a mate over there, and he brought his mate back to our orchid pond or plot where we have the orchids, and he and his wife are starting to create a nest there. I think they're going to have their babies there, which is fucking unbelievable that they're coming to the humans to save them, to help them. And I think it's a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful gift. I just am amazed all the time at the wonderful things that happen there. You know, and we have a taper who was very upset because they're not working in the area where she lives. So she came over to see what the hell we were doing and why we weren't over there.
That is wonderful. And this is the book, The Place, that Gary is talking about, which is a novel that he wrote, which, you know, as you're speaking, Gary, one of the things that really jumps out, and I'm sure that Julia will, you know, have a similar point of view as me on this, is that all of the books of Access Consciousness and all the material in general is really designed to give you more of a connection with everything around you. It's really not just about, let me have my own success story over here, or let me, you know, get this result over here, although it can include that. It's such a bigger picture, you know, as you're talking about addressing the future as well.
And I love addressing the future, and I love looking to create the future. And for me, it's like creating a future that's different. One of the things that has occurred with El Lugar is that we've done a different way of building everything. The septic system is different. The electrical system is different. The, you know, how we're doing hot water and air conditioning is different. And they're all done in ways that are saving money, but providing what people desire. So the the eco resorts in Costa Rica, they're an eco resort because they give you one 25-watt light bulb in your room to read by. I want lights. I want to see. It's like I'm old. I can't see without lots of light. So I need light. And now we provide all that, and we're providing this whole different universe. And with How to Become Money, I wrote that as a workbook that you could do, and you could do it many times. And I highly recommend to people that you take your first answers in the workbook and put them on a separate sheet of paper. Then go back 2 weeks later and do it again, and you'll find out you have a totally different set of answers. And it's like, can we change that fast? Yes. Are we changing as fast as we can? I'm not going to answer that.
That's an amazing question to ponder.
Yes. And it's like, and that's the whole thing, is what I'm trying to do is get you to ponder questions. One of the things I just did is I ended all emails from Access until July 31st. No more emails. Now, I'm hoping it will create a curiosity in people that have been used to getting 20 emails a week. And they will start wondering, what the hell happened? What's going on? What's going on? I want them to be in the question. And what we're trying to do is create an app which will allow people to sign up for classes. What am I interested in? What do I want to know? And I'm setting it up in the back end. So if people do not open their emails for 10 times, they get deleted from our mailing list. They want to be part of it. They have to choose in, not just not answer.
That's really amazing, actually.
Yeah.
The whole email thing is really interesting. I was a little bit confused by it, and so
No, you weren't. You wanted to be confused so you could send out the email. You wanted to send out what you sent out.
That's true. So I called you about it, and you actually said, find a different way to reach people. This way is not creating your life, your future, your business. And I've already just got in touch with people in a different way this morning, phoning people about upcoming classes. And I learned that one lady's mother died last week, and just what that journey has been for her. I learned that another lady has a cottage in Canada, and she was telling me about the forest fires and all kinds of things she had going on. And it's like, this is the oneness that you're talking about.
Yes. Because you have to have that place where you engage with stuff. And if you want to have money, which is what the Money Workbook is about, is you literally have to engage with people so that you begin to find out what is of interest to them, because you can't sell them a product that they don't actually have an interest in. So find out what they're interested in, and then see if you want to sell them a product, and don't sell if you don't want to, if you don't have to. Exactly. Everything should not be about salesmanship, which is what they try to teach you. It's like today, I think Sean and Allison and Arthur have a thing on engagement, and there are like 20 people that are signed up for it. I went, only 20 people want to actually succeed, because that's an element of success that everyone needs, because in that you make amazing changes. I have a guy that was at El Lugar this week to visit me, and I met him there. And he's part of the Azcapotzalco, which is the horse breeding society. And I made a friend out of him, and I just think he's great. And he's interested in getting us into the Rose Parade. He's interested in all kinds of things. And he came to visit, and he says, my God, this place is amazing. You guys have done so much already. And it's like, it's a phenomenal place. And all the Costa Ricans who come there say this place cannot help but be a success, because it's more unique than anything else in Costa Rica.
Right.
It takes an extra year to get it built. Okay, fine. One of the things I realized is that we've been giving enough money to El Lugar that we could have this thing done in a year out of our own pockets. If that's what we have to do, that's what we will do. I don't care. So all of you who don't want to give us money, don't give us any money.
Love that. You're so different with money.
I am so different with money. And I realize I just don't have the idea that money is that big a deal.
No, you don't.
And it isn't really. people try to make it a big deal in order to make it important that they have it or don't have it. You know, and if you have the point of view, you don't have enough money, guess what? You're screwed, because you will never have enough money. Right. If you have the point of view, I don't have enough money, even if it's I don't have enough money right now, you're still going to make sure that eventually you're still back in that same position, because that's familiar territory. So you will always go back to what is familiar, never into what is not. Ask a question. What would it be like to be a billionaire? And then what's interesting is I ask people that and they go, well, I don't want to be as nasty as that. What do you mean? Billionaires are nasty. According to whom? You know, who says they're nasty? Why don't you look at what's true instead of looking at what people tell you?
Yeah. And the other...
Yeah. Go on.
No, sorry. You go ahead.
You go.
I was just going to say the other interesting thing is about that question, and you know, the questions in the book as well, is that they're not designed to give you an answer, which is what so much of the material out there about how to have more money talks about. You know, they're about giving you more awareness and playing a long game, you know, like a marathon, not trying to get rich quick, which is just such a different
Yeah.
Will you talk
well,
about
I mean, it's like the one thing I've always noticed is a lot of people try to turn access into a multi-level marketing plan. You know, because they've decided multi-level marketing will get them rich quick. It won't, unless you work all the fucking time. The only people I ever met who were in multi-level who made a lot of money were people who worked all the time. These people want to have residual income with them doing nothing. If you have that point of view, then you're going to do nothing, and the residual income will come after you die. That's just the way it is. So this workbook opens a whole lot of things. One of the things that was interesting is a guy said, you could take these same questions and apply them to relationships and they would work. I said, yeah, they would. I said, and you can do it according to business, and you can do it according to anything you want to apply it to, and they will all work to create more awareness about what you have and what you're going to create. So choose. I mean, this is a fucking brilliant book.
It's so brilliant. And you were talking before about the future.
Yeah.
And reading this book, and I read this book over and over and over and over and over, and I love it. And every time I read it, it's like, well, that I never read that before, and that, like, the depth that you can
interesting
read from.
that you isn't it interesting you can read it multiple times and you still don't see this stuff?
Gary, I've read it actually cover to cover 99 times. I'm almost at 100, and I started 11 years ago, and I make sure I get through it once a month.
Good.
And but the depth that I'm reading at now, like just in these last 10 times, it's like it's a different world, and you can only get to that depth through reading it and changing and becoming
providing the answers that you have at the time to see that those answers are a limited point of view, not your point of view.
Okay.
You know, and it's like that's the gift that it is, and it's the gift we try to make with all of our books. We want all of our books to be things that you read them multiple times and you get a whole different universe.
Wow.
Yeah. I love that you just said it's a limited point of view. It's not your point of view.
Yeah.
We're so conditioned to believe that even limited points of view.
Well, all limited points of view have to be our own because we're so aware of them.
Yeah, exactly.
But we don't have to be them, and we don't have to live them. And that's the gift that each of the Access books should be for you. A place where you recognize the possibility of what you can create and start to create from that, not from this other place.
Can I ask you one more thing?
Sure, you can always ask me anything, as you always do.
True story. Thank you. So, okay. So, oh wait, now the train's leaving the station. Oh no. Okay, I got it. So you were saying you were facilitating me with something, and I came to you and I said, Gary, there's just so much that's available, and I can pick such big things. I have such huge, amazing things available. And you said, yeah, but you're like, what if you choose the little things that are choosable today? Because if you just choose for the big things, you're going to be disappointed and you're going to go nowhere. But if you choose in 10-second increments, if you choose the things you can choose today, those huge, big things will show up.
Yes.
Can you talk more
Well,
about?
it's like when you choose for today and you choose what's available that you can choose now, what you're doing is you open the door to the monstrosity of choice.
You do? That's so amazing.
I know. And it was like, nobody gets that. And it's like, I tried telling them and nobody listens. So I just stopped saying it. So now I just put it out in, you know, weird ways that once in a while somebody does it and starts to do it. But it's like you can choose and create more if you start from the little things you can choose than if you try to choose the big things thinking that's a better choice. Choose what you can today. You know, it's like I chose to, you know, I was choosing to buy tickets to give to my grandchildren. And I went, wait a minute, I can't do that. Because if I give these to my grandchildren and they win, then everybody's going to say it's rigged. I can't get away with that. That fucking pisses me off. So I can't give them to my kids. I can't give them to my grandkids. So I just, you know, put more prizes in there and let it go.
You can put the extra ones in my name, and then they can, if I win,
okay,
then it's theirs.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. You'll definitely give them to my kids.
Yes, I will. So that's a little choice that you made.
Yes. But the big choice that came from that was going to El Lugar, seeing how much money we put in the last 6 months was 3.5 million. And it's like, and how much was it going to cost us to finish the place at 7 million? I went, oh, so if we had the same amount in the next 6 months and the next 6 months in a year, we'd be done. I went, you know what? I can deal with a year. I will not be dead in a year. I will not be dying that soon because I have to torture you guys more than that.
We are grateful for that point of view. Well, and that's also an interesting energy then too about not giving up and not allowing money to limit you, not allowing it to be like the limiting.
Well, you just have to look at it. Okay, so what's this going to take to do it? $7 million. Okay, $7 million. Where do we get $7 million? We can borrow it. But people are wanting 41% for it. And I go, 41% is the idea, you know, and you have to pay it back in 10 months. No, I'm not doing that. I'm not that desperate. I'm not that desperate. If I was that desperate, I'd probably do it, but I'm not that desperate. And they are looking for the people that are desperate who will take whatever deal they can get to get their money. And those are what the Jewish community called ganefs. Money lenders who would take your, you know, take your testicles rather than, you know, rather than be realistic. You know, and it's like one of the things David called me and he said, we can't do the lottery in Abu Dhabi because it's subject to, what is it, Sharia law? You know, I said sheriff law, but I know it's not sheriff. Sharia law, which is you cannot do that kind of thing. You cannot create gambling as part of something. So I said, tell them, sorry, we can't sell tickets here. But there's a way around. I don't care if there's a way around. You follow their fucking laws, you fucking asshole. Do not sell raffle tickets in those countries that follow Sharia law because it's not legal by their laws. Follow the laws. Don't break the laws. No matter how good you are at breaking the law, Julia, you don't need to break the law. You know, I mean, I said no more emails and Julia sent them out to her people.
Yeah.
I said, yeah, all those people are in access. That's not your people. That's the people that are in connection with you that are in access.
That's a good point. I didn't look at it that way.
Of course not, because it's what you wanted to do was send out your email.
Yes.
Because you thought that was going to make you better than everybody else and get away with things that other people couldn't get away with.
Yep, he's got my number.
Yeah. You know, but you got to see what you're trying to do and what you're trying to pull and how you're trying to make things work, or otherwise you will create a disaster for yourself that you don't need.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the money book will help you figure those things out.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, even talking about the lending and the desperation that they, you know, the lenders seek out in people. For me, the incredible thing about that money workbook was it was the first book that actually got me out of a sense of desperation when it came to money.
Yeah, that's what it will do. It's one of the things it's supposed to do. It's one of the gifts it is. You know, and even though it was done in 1986, it's still a brilliant fucking book today. Because I'm fucking smart as hell. No. Because what I wrote was really good.
Yeah.
It was really good. And it's even more relevant. I mean, in 86, you were talking about Donald Trump and Bill Gates.
Which is pretty funny, huh?
It's pretty funny.
And today we're still talking about what?
Donald Trump and Bill Gates.
Yeah. But I was saying to be rich, you didn't have to have Donald Trump's hair. Nor,
thank the Lord.
Nor did you have, but I didn't say you didn't have to have Bill Gates' insanity. But, it's fine. You don't. You can be rich. You can be rich and have lots of money and do all kinds of amazing things to enjoy money instead of trying to get away with something or get through something or find more. And it just takes away the desperation, as you said, Diva. And I think that's just the greatest gift I can give anybody. Yeah.
And also it empowers you to know that you can create money in your own way. Like you don't have to follow the way that Trump has done or Bill Gates or anybody else.
Yeah.
So what it opens up is something so unique and different, which before that book, I hadn't read anything else ever that addressed that at all.
No, nothing else does. I mean, God knows I read hundreds of books on money. I got a big kick. I was talking to a facilitator one time and she said, Access doesn't really work because I still have the same money problems. I said, have you done the money workbook? No, I can't afford it. What? Don't you get it at half price? Well, yeah, but I can't afford it. I said, so you would suffer rather than paying $17.50 to get yourself out of it with a book that would actually work. I can't afford it. Good. You are right, and you never will be able to.
Yeah.
And today she still hasn't read it.
Oh.
And she's suffering financially.
You said a key thing though, Gary. You said you won't pay that to get yourself out of it. Yeah. And I think that's a big part, of all of the Access Consciousness books. It's how do you get yourself out of these situations? How do you create something different?
Well, most people want to find out how they got into them, not how they can get out of them.
Right. Wow.
Because they think if they can figure out how they got into it, they will get out of it, which doesn't really work.
No. Yeah. How did I get in the ditch? Then maybe I can follow those steps backwards to get out of the ditch. That's not how it works.
Exactly. Not how it works. When you're in the ditch, you're in the ditch. Now, where do I go from here?
Yeah.
Do I go forwards? Do I go backwards? Do I go inside, outside, upside, downside? Yeah. I really love that book that they have for little kids about the inside, upside, inside, upside, inside, outside, upside, downside. And it's the funniest friggin' book. But it's it shows you how we think that makes no sense.
Mm.
And that's what I see people doing with money and everything else in their lives.
Yeah. Thinking and thinking and more thinking.
Yeah, I'll think. Therefore, I'll be out of the wet paper bag.
Yeah.
No, you won't.
Right. Yeah.
Cool.
I want to ask a question.
Okay. Any other questions?
No, we really thank you for coming on. This was a great conversation.
Good. Thank you.
So
I
much,
hope
Gary.
you guys enjoy it and have a great day because you deserve it.
Thanks, Gary.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.